What's up, y'all? Welcome to the On the Pursuit podcast. Listen, this episode's gonna go crazy. I got a friend, I got an entrepreneur, I got somebody that's gonna inspire you, someone that's gonna motivate you, someone that's gonna help you get to that next level. You tapped into the right episode. You do not want to miss this. I got my guy Style on the episode. He's on the podcast, and he's gonna change the situation. Make sure that you tap in. Let's go. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, the On the Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Brennan Boyd, right? The podcast, I connect with 6, 7, 8-figure earners. I like to get into their stories, figure out what made them successful, pull some gems out, so it makes it easier for you so you can get to your success a little bit faster. Today's episode, I got an amazing person on the pod. And what's so amazing about this individual is, I think I shared it with him too, is that I kind of knew for our first interaction that there was something about him. There's something about him. I didn't know what it was. We kind of talked about it off camera. I didn't know what it was. Maybe I just have a little sensory. I can kind of sense things. And I just knew that he was special. Now, upon doing the research, I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Kind of moving, grooving, shaking and baking, whatever. And then we had an opportunity to connect. And, I'm grateful to be in this moment and in this space and have the opportunity to present my friend to you guys. Sir Style, what's up, bro?
Yeah. What's up, my guy? I appreciate it.
How you doing, bro?
Actually, I'm grateful to be here.
And bro, you've been to over 40 countries, right? Keynote speaking.
We almost at 50 now, though.
You gonna be at 50 real quick. So close to 50 countries.
Yep.
Keynote speaking, sharing your story, helping people, transforming their lives, right? Allowing people to have the opportunity to become, which is something else we talked about.
Right.
So like, what has allowed you to be the person who you are, right? To be as confident, to feel like, you know what? I am here as a purpose to help people.
Yeah.
Like, how did you find that, that moment? What enabled you to gravitate to that?
Yeah. Honestly, first and foremost, I think before we even tap into that is, I'm grateful for the opportunity, to be a part of this conversation, right? I think a lot of times people have this information.
Yeah.
Kind of like probably when we were growing up, we didn't have access to YouTube, or we couldn't, unless you had like a library card, right? Unless you're going to go access the information or get it from somewhere else, it didn't exist. And I think for you to be able to create a platform for people to get this kind of information is going to potentially save people years of frustration, right? Failures, which we do need, but like failures that they may not need, right? And I think without having like that generational support, right? A lot of people in our community don't have that, right? Maybe I didn't have my father growing up.
Yeah, I didn't have mine either.
So you kind of get it, right? Those little small details, like how'd you learn how to tie a tie?
Bro, movie.
There you go.
And I watched the movie a couple times, and then once I found YouTube, there was there's certain knots you want to learn how to tie.
Exactly.
And I just kept watching that.
So that's my point, right? It's like small little things. Sometimes people think about the big things, but like maybe we didn't even know how to clean ourselves properly as a man, right? Unless you were taught those small things. So I think these kind of podcasts give people access, right? People that you may not ever meet. So that's, my hat's off to you on that. But to answer your question, like, how did I know? I think the truth is I'm still figuring it out every day, right? Like, that's the honest answer. But I do think it's a lot of, and you probably feel this way too, is doing it scared.
Yeah.
Right? And part of it I do agree with, kind of like that talent that you said you have when you see somebody or you know them and something is telling you inside of you there's something special about them, right? Well, I felt the same way about myself, right? My circumstances, growing up in foster care and being physically beat and losing my mom to drugs and alcohol. My father
I lost mine to drugs and alcohol too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right? My father not being in my life, I think that all of those things told me that I wasn't supposed to be who I am today, right? Society, our environment, growing up, the way we grew up, or I grew up, I should say, it showed me that I should not be successful. It showed me that I should be a statistic. I should be locked up. I should be do all those things. But something in my spirit was telling me that there was supposed to be greatness inside of me. I'm not designed to just pay my bills and die.
Yeah.
right? And the only way I can explain that is faith, right? Like that's the only answer to that, because everything on the outside scream sadness, frustration, and anger, but inside of me, I'm like, I'm supposed to be somebody though, right? Yes, I know I can't read that well. Yes, I know I'm not the best athlete. Yes, I know a lot of these things, but something is telling me I'm supposed to be somebody. So I guess my question to you is like, how did you tap into that gift that you have of saying like, I have discernment when I meet somebody? Where do you think that came from?
That's a great question, bro. That's a good one. So I think, again, offline, you and I kind of talked about it, right? It's like sometimes you recognize it's something, but you don't know what it is. And sometimes, since you can't articulate it or put a definition on it, you may ignore it, right? So for me, I remember being like 19, 20, but being able to fully appreciate my dreams.
Wow.
Right? My first business, I started from a dream, which was basketball leagues in Boston. And I remember going to bed vividly, with a question like, how do I start this? Not knowing where to go. And I woke up with the answers. This is like pre-YouTube,
Wow.
which was weird. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So, and again, I didn't know what that was. I was too young to really understand what that was. But then I've just been able to move into different rooms or different spaces and being able to recognize energies and then unable to draw a full correlation to, okay, why do I feel drawn to this person? Why does this person like seeing it, shine a little brighter?
Yep.
Or why do I feel how I feel about this person in this moment? And not ignore it, but like hold a mental note, and then maybe I can come back to that, or maybe I can figure out in the moment.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just something I just been able to get better at as I've learned myself.
Yeah.
And as I've been not slow in the sense of moving slow, but just slow to really process.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like if you, like I eat pretty fast, and I remember like my grandmother said, you eat fast, or my friends be like, yeah, you eat fast. But it's like, I'm processing the information slowly so I can really dissect it. You know what I'm saying? So I think, yeah, man, just college probably, you know what I'm saying? Just like picking it up, you know what I'm saying?
I think that
just from there.
a lot of people have that feeling. I think there's a lot of dishwashers right now. There's a lot of people that are cleaning the toilets right now that know in their spirit that they're not supposed to be just cleaning that
Just
toilet.
doing that, yeah.
Right? I know that there's a lot of people that are in those situations where society would say they weren't successful, but their spirit and their soul and everything about them is telling them, I'm supposed to be somebody. But I think that the world has dimmed our lights so much, right? And try to put us inside of this box that doesn't even exist, that a lot of people will then kind of give up, right? And I can think of a lot of times where I gave up, even to this day, right? I can think of things I wanted to do 2 days ago that I didn't do because I was afraid, or I allowed the weather to predict how my actions were. And so my answer to that question is, I don't know. But what I did do is I took a step the next day that was in alignment with my dreams, right? That was in alignment with my goals, right? I didn't allow myself to eventually, right? It took me until I was 26 to start taking those steps. But I had that desire since I was 10, 11, 12.
Greatness.
Greatness. Yeah.
When were you able to find a vehicle that would be the proper vehicle to channel the greatness that you felt inside of you, that you may have been unaware of what vehicle to choose, but you were like, you know what, it could be this one.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe it wasn't what you're currently doing right now, but it might have been something that led to that.
Yeah.
Right? So let's talk about that a little bit. Like what did you choose in those early stages to say, I can get with this and I can start figuring this out?
Yeah.
Afraid or scared or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the vehicle that we create, sometimes people believe the vehicle is the purpose, right? Sometimes people think the vehicle meaning the career that you take,
Yeah.
or the vehicle meaning the thing that brings income into your life is your purpose. And as much as I love that conversation, I also disagree, right? I think the vehicle can be in alignment with your purpose, but I don't think the vehicle a lot of times is your purpose. Unless in my case, right, my vehicle has a lot to do with helping people get healthy. It has a lot to do with creating an environment for people to believe in themselves even when they don't, right? But I don't think that I was born to do those things, right? I love, and my purpose is to help those who people have forgotten, right?
What do you call those people?
And I just like to, I don't think that there's a title for it, right? Because a lot of people are forgotten. They may still live in a really nice house, or they might drive a nice car, but they're just going through the motions. I'm sure you've met people like that, right? And so I believe that I wake up every day and I use my voice and my actions and my platform to inspire those people.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I also use my resources to help those people get to the next place. That's my purpose, but I don't actually get paid for that, right? And on the monetary side that most people will call, right? I just believe that you get paid in two ways, right? Your check that you get and then the blessings that you also receive, right? And so I lean heavy in both of those aspects, but it took me, I had a dream about what my career was supposed to be, and then the world had a different plan for that, right? I love sports. I love the idea of it. But I think what I loved the most about sports was being a part of a group of people that cared about each other, right? And I think that came from growing up in foster care and feeling forgotten and feeling like I had no purpose on this planet, right? And so getting into college to play sports and realizing that the physical aspect of it, the pain of it, I hated. Right? I hated the abuse that I was putting on my body. And I started to lose love for that goal, that dream that I had, right? And then trying to create a platform of success inside of the entertainment industry, right? A lot of people don't know that I did go after that. And I was able to achieve things like magazines, and I did Nike commercials and things like that. But there was no love in it. It was a lot of like, okay, how do I pay my bills? How can I get a glass of water tomorrow? How can I eat, right? And there wasn't a lot of like what I wanted to create for people didn't exist inside of it. And so I think the mistake people make is they believe, like I said in the beginning, that their career or what pays them is their purpose. A lot of times. And I think it's the vehicle is a part of your purpose. And I like saying that to people so they can understand, right? Like you may love dance or singing or this, that may not be the thing that pays you.
Facts.
But your career and what you're doing allows you to dance, sing anytime you desire.
100%.
Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
What's up, y'all? It's Brennan Boy, and one of the best things that has helped me go to the next level is powerful affirmations. I would say them every single day, literally when I open my eyes. So I put together these powerful affirmation cards to help you get to the next level, right? With powerful statements like, I live in abundance, or statements like, I'm not a prisoner of my limiting beliefs. Now, if you say these things to yourself every single day using the power of repetition, you're gonna believe the things that you wanna achieve. So look, grab your affirmation deck or your manifestation deck or your money manifestation deck. Let's grow your mindset and let's get you to the next level, right? Click that link below, grab your cards, let's go.
So I want to touch on something that you mentioned, right? You were talking about the forgotten, right? And then I kind of felt a correlation because you were once a forgotten in foster care. So being someone that has experienced foster care, experienced drugs and alcohol, with their parents, experience, someone may say a sense of abandonment, not having fixed, parental figures in your life, which I can also, empathize with. Most people would not be successful because they would choose something else, a distraction. They would choose something that would be more in alignment with being unsuccessful because those fixed figures aren't there. Or blaming yourself.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, why this gotta be why me? How come my dad, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So how did you rise like a phoenix? You know what I'm saying? Not to be, prismatic, but like where'd you draw
Yep.
the strength, and then the desire to want more for yourself?
Right.
And the reason why I'm asking you that, because I know that there's someone that's probably listening to this right now,
Yep.
watching this right now. Maybe they're seeing you for the first time. Maybe they're hearing a different part of your story right now.
Right.
And they're like, yo, I am this person right now, or I'm going through this at this moment, or I didn't even know that he had that.
Yep.
And then maybe they can get a little something that they need. And I'm curious myself, because I was able to do it, you know what I'm saying? And people ask me, how were you able to kind of do that?
Wow. Honestly, I think that's a really great question. I think it's $1 billion question, right?
Yeah.
And I think, it's so in alignment with your brand and what you stand for. Those kind of questions for people like myself.
Yeah.
And I got two answers. Like, do we want to give the answer that everybody's saying on social media?
No, we want the real joint.
Do we want the real answer? And so, man, the real answer is, and this is just my truth, is you got to use your pain to push you to greatness. Really, right? And I self-sabotaged myself. I was a professional quitter, right? I would start something and then quit. I would do this and then I would quit. Or I would get so close and then I would fail on purpose because it was proof to me that I wasn't worth shit, right? Like, I would get into relationships that I knew would fail because I already can predict the outcome. If I already know I'm getting into a situation that's not going to be great, I can predict the outcome.
And you would purposely select that?
I would purposely select that.
Was that conscious?
Consciously.
Conscious?
Consciously, right? We say subconsciously a lot of times because it gives us an excuse to not take blame, right? But consciously, I would go into situations, and I think even men can resonate with this. We've been in the car and we've been driving somewhere that we barely had gas to get to. And on the way there, we were saying, I shouldn't be doing this. And we still go, right? And I did that a lot, right? And the reason why I want to say that is because sometimes people feel like someone just figured it out one day and they started doing these action steps that allowed them to create $1, then create another $1, and then they were free. Well, that was not my truth, right? I failed, and then I made a mistake, and then I got better, and then I made another mistake, and then I got better. I got help. I went to therapy, and then I failed again, right? And I think it's important for people to hear that. And using your pain to get the greatness isn't the best solution either. It's just my answer, right? Because when you're using your pain to achieve success, what happens when the pain is gone? A lot of people don't talk about that, right? And I was listening to motivational speakers on YouTube. I was listening to audiobooks because I struggle with reading, right? And all of those things were telling me it's okay to use your pain to get to greatness, right? And so I started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I had to put in the work before I went to work, right? I had no car, so I had to run to the gym, right? And I was using all those things, like I'd be running, I'd be tears falling down my face, but I knew I wanted to be somebody, right? And so I was using that pain to achieve the success that I wanted. The challenge is once you achieve the success and the pain is gone, right? I think that's a better question for people as we move forward in the podcast industry that you're creating is, okay, once you achieved it, how did you maintain it, right? And
or another thing you made me think about, and not to cut you off, because I want you to kind of move on that. Maybe we could just table this for a second. When you lose it, but what if you still have it and you can't detach from it? You know what I'm saying? That's what it made me think.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that pain, you need it to fire, you holding on to it. It's like your secret box you're always driving to.
Yeah.
But what if you can't pivot from that as well? Because it has gotten to where you are and now you're there.
Yep.
But the purpose of it is different now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what it made me think about.
My brother, I'll tell you this. I'm in a place now in my career to where I'm tackling that area of my aspect of my life right now, right? I'm tackling the area of getting up from a place of joy versus a place of frustration, right? And so in the beginning of my career, I used that pain of losing my mom to drugs and alcohol, my father not being in my life, to go, I can be somebody. I can create it, right? I'm gonna not necessarily prove to my mom because she's not here, or prove to my father, but to prove to myself I'm supposed to be somebody. And I use that as my fuel to go after it, right? So the days that I cried myself to sleep when I couldn't eat, I use it as fuel, right? And so there's a lot of young people, like you said, that are watching this, and they think that they need to use this like big, deep, holistic approach to success when they can use their pain to push them to greatness. Absolutely, in my opinion. But eventually they have to be prepared to face their truth. And I think that's something that we can talk about as we get really tap into this.
Yeah, yo, bro, that's crazy, bro. Cause it's like, first off, you don't really get what you just said, using the pain to be successful. I think now people like Eric Thomas talks about it a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you hear it more. It's a little bit more common, you know? But then that next level, or, you know, the level that you graduate towards, where you just shared,
Yep.
what do you do with it once you are successful? If you lost it, or if you still have it, but you need to detach from that to get to
The next level.
the next level,
Yeah.
but you haven't had conversations about it the entire time, right? Because you've used it.
Yep.
It's been your source. It's
Yep.
been your light. It's been what has, you know, it's the fire, right? It's been the coal or whatever. But now it's not serving you the same way. It's kind of like when you had talked about sports, it's like me in real time, because the vast majority of my life, hooper. I play ball, but I would play it for different reasons. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about life from it. Brotherhood, partnerships, collaborations, teamwork, disciplined,
Yep.
you know, consistency, wanting to improve, escapism, you know, avoidance, distraction, joy, sadness, all of that.
Yep.
I use it for all of that. Then at some point I was in a relationship, and because of a choice that I made that turned our relationship into, you know, we no longer was rocking. I would normally, in any other situation, go to basketball because it would be healing,
Yeah.
but it wasn't anymore, right? No matter how hard I tried, it wasn't. It wouldn't help.
Yep.
Then I had to find something else. By accident, I found running, something that I never tried before, and it was painful.
Yep.
Right? Mile, just you, nothing. Like, yes, you in the mind, like, you know what I'm saying? And 1 mile to 3 to, you know, 5, 10, half, you know, I ended up running 2 marathons. But I needed that because then I was able to the things that I got from basketball, it wasn't the same with running, but running really allowed me to grow.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It really allowed me to develop. It really gave me what I needed to heal myself with that situation, but then allow me to grow into the version that I need to go. But I found that by, you know, off of some Kobe's. It's I was with a Nike Eakin at the time, who I met randomly. He was checking on an account. I had a clothing company. They sold our clothes in the store. You know, happen chance meeting. And he had on, like, it was like, I think the Kobe 10s, the high top versions. They were dumb fire. Started the conversation with him. Next thing you know, he invited me to a run club. It was the next day. I went. That first mile was painful. I ran 3.
Yep. Wow.
And then one of my best friends I met from that. And we're still really good friends from there. Shout out to my guy, Jarek. But happen chance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So when you're detaching from that feeling of this, my source, and you never had a conversation, so now you're struggling because you may not even know what you're experiencing, and you may feel confusion and some embarrassment. I want to talk to a therapist, which I thought was amazing that you shared that.
Yep.
I can't bring this to my friends because I can't even reveal to them by being vulnerable that I didn't use this the entire time.
Yep.
How are they gonna look at me now?
Yep.
I'm not the superhero in their eyes no more, to my friends or whatever the case may be. It's very complex, bro. But it can keep you back. It can hold you back. It can keep you in like, you know what you said you had said something, and I'm trying to remember exactly what you said, and maybe you can draw the correlation for when I shared this, but I saw something on social media. It was like an experiment. And the guy took these flies. It was gnats. You may have seen this. He took these gnats, put them in a glass jar, put the lid on for like a day or two.
Yep.
Right? Open the lid. The gnats didn't fly out.
Wow.
They stayed in there because of the conditioning and the programming. And then he removed the jar, so there's no lid and no jar. And they're just flying as high as the lid was, only in the circumference of the jar.
Wow.
And there's nothing there. So it kind of talks about when you were talking about the programming earlier, and I think it's interesting. So when you don't know that was your source, and now you need to detach from that source,
Yep.
but you never had any conversations, and no one's telling you about that, which is, I guess, what you shared, what we're doing here.
Yep.
You're not even conscious that you should be having these conversations that will allow you to ascend. That's wild.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
That's wild.
I agree.
So man, like the success that you've been experiencing in your life now, how do you know, what are some of the challenges you have now versus before? Before it was parents, foster, being abused, which we can talk about if you want. What are the challenges like for you now?
I think tapping back into what you just said a second ago about the jar and the flies and the gnats, right? I think that the truth is, you know, we have treaded above water a long time, right? My family, my mom, my aunt, my cousins, right? And probably people that are watching this, their families are trying to figure out a way to stay above water. The challenge is, what if we started talking about being in the boat, right? And I think that's what's been stopping a lot of us with the identity that we want to create, is that there isn't actually a boat. It's not just staying above water, right? And I think that's where my mind has always...
actually a boat.
There's actually a boat. That's deep, ain't it?
That's crazy, bro.
Right?
And
so
it could be next to you.
It could be right next to you, right? And we're still looking for the life raft, or, you know, and I think that's...
We're still looking for the life raft.
Yeah. And
so it's almost like you're settling.
You're settling.
And you don't even know that you could just get on the boat.
You could just get on the boat.
But you're just like, oh, where's the raft at?
Because we weren't taught that there was a boat.
Crazy, bro.
Right? Our school didn't teach us that.
Yeah.
Your teacher didn't tell you that.
Maybe your parents didn't know.
Didn't even know.
So they just taught you to look for the raft.
Right. Right. And so
I've been generationally looking for the rafts.
The raft. So I think that's the biggest part of the conversation, is understanding that there is a boat. Right? And maybe there's a plane. I never thought about that until this moment.
Bro, maybe there's a plane.
Okay, so, you know, by chance, if there's a plane, right?
No, there's no by chance.
Yeah.
There's definitely a plane.
There's definitely a plane.
100%.
Okay, but we can even go further than that. But to answer the question, I think that what I don't want to do as somebody that created a life that, you know, I could only imagine in my dreams, I don't want to give somebody non-tangible actions.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think there's a lot of like books that you can read. There's a lot of movies that you can watch. There's a lot of information out there. But like tangible thing that I think that somebody can do today, right, is to start to eliminate the things that are harming them, right, one by one, and replace those things with good habits, right? And for somebody that struggled with reading, I failed the second grade because I couldn't read. And so to be in the world today, you need to learn how to communicate with people, right? And I think the way you walk into a room is important, right? What you smell like is important. How you look somebody in the eye when you're speaking to them is important, right? The way you carry yourself is important. And a lot of times in our community, we feel like I need to be so real and so authentic with myself that you're so real and you stay so real that you stay broke, right?
Yeah.
And there needs to be a person that says, no, you need to brush your teeth and you need to take care of yourself so that people can look at you and present yourself in a way that where you want to be one day. I'm not saying how you dress. I'm saying how you carry yourself.
How you carry yourself
is important, right? And I don't think that I've seen a lot of people say that, right? It's just something that I felt like in my spirit. I pay attention to somebody that carries themselves well, no matter their financial state, but if they take care of themselves, not their vocabulary, but how they communicate.
Yeah.
Right? And so That's one thing I think is very important, especially for young entrepreneurs, right, that are trying to create a lane for themselves. Another thing is when it comes to eliminate those distractions, right? Like, why am I playing video games? I'm a beast at Call of Duty, right? You ever played that?
I played it.
Okay. I was a beast,
Right?
right?
Okay, got you.
I was a beast at Call of Duty, but I couldn't pay my rent. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Bro, all you need to do is stream.
Yeah, but there was no streaming. There was no streaming.
There was no
You know what I
streaming,
mean?
yeah.
In 2011, the streaming didn't exist.
definitely
Or if
wasn't.
there was, I didn't know about
Yeah.
it. And so my point, though, is I realized that I needed to replace some of my bad habits with good habits, not just get rid of
Rid of them, yeah.
right? A lot of times people will tell you to get rid of those habits, which I think is great. But the problem is we associate getting rid of them as pain, right? As frustration versus something that's good,
Yeah.
right? And so I decided that I took the PlayStation out of my room. I took the TV out of my room and I replaced it with audiobooks, right? And at the time I couldn't even afford the app Audible. So I would go to the local coffee shop, connect to the internet, and I would watch YouTube videos on, people like Eric Thomas, people like Jim Rohn, people like Zig Ziglar. I started watching these videos because I didn't have a father in my life, right? And I wanted the information from people that had already went through it, right? I could appreciate Eric Thomas eating out of trash cans, sleeping in abandoned buildings, right? Because I'm like, that's my story.
Yeah.
And for him to now be doing what he's doing, right? It gave me hope. So sometimes we need to be able to, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes we need to be able to see it first.
No,
Right.
no, for sure.
And so I saw it and I just applied the information, right? That I was hearing, right? I got up at 3:30 in the morning because he was getting up at 3:30 in the morning. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so I made those sacrifices and I made them pleasurable, right? So me getting up at 3:30 in the morning, this is what made me feel good. I knew you were still asleep.
Yep, facts. I feel the same way.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So for the young people that are trying to create a lane for themselves outside of the presentation, how they carry themselves, their appearance, I think it's important to then make those habits, even if they're not fun in the beginning, right, a pleasure, right? So reading a book, once a month or twice a month or 10 books out of the month, you can start to feel like I'm separating myself from my old me. And that should start to make you feel like you're growing.
Yeah.
Right? I think Tony Robbins says this all the time. It's like, without that progress, there is no life, right? So I felt like for me, I replaced some of those habits with good habits. And then I started eliminating even more distractions. Not all at once, though. That's just my story. I don't know how you did it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do all of them at the same time.
So when you remove the distractions,
Yep.
and if you don't replace them with a positive distraction, I guess what I've heard though is that you're more likely to go back to the
Absolutely.
distraction, right? Because you're not replacing it with something. And we work on patterns. Our paradigms are all patterns, right? So you can't. It's just like a bridge. If you take a piece of it away, now you just got a hole in there.
Yep.
Now the negative part of the bridge or the broken part of the bridge is gone, but now you got a hole that you need to fill.
That's a good way to think
Right?
about
That
it.
now you got a hole that you need to fill, which is not necessarily a problem, but it's just a hole, right? It's kind of like, if there was a leak in a raft and it's a slow leak, there's still water in there, right? So replacing that with healthy habits, and you mentioned the audiobooks, you mentioned earlier that, you were running and stuff like that. Like, did you know how to replace these things, or did you know like this is not serving me? I'm gonna try this, or I'm gonna do this and kind of see. Like, how did you start building out that daily routine that became like where you were able to kind of build your life upon?
Yep. I read one quote and from this book, I think it's called Lead an Inspired Life.
Lead an Inspired Life
by Jim Rohn.
Okay.
And the quote said, out of the entire book, this is the one thing that I really resonate with. It said, do you want to have a fun day at the beach or do you want to own the beach?
Yeah, facts. I heard that.
Okay.
Yep.
So you heard that.
Yeah, I heard that one, yeah.
And so I realized that a lot of my life was a fun day at the beach. And I would never have the opportunity to own the beach one day. And so that one impact of taking the PlayStation out of my room, I decided I was gonna have to miss out on some fun days at the beach, right? And so I associated playing a video game for hours as escape. It allowed me to not think about not being able to pay my bills or my car being repossessed or being physically beat or not being able to eat. It allowed me to escape. Some people use drugs, some people use alcohol, right? Some people use relationships to escape, right? So that was my association with it. But eventually I decided that there was too much pain in it, right? There was too much pain in, I came home one day and I could smell the food in my house from my roommates. And there was nothing to eat though for me. And I cried myself to sleep that night because I had to go in the refrigerator and get a bowl of ice to have something to chew on, right? And so there was just so much pain, even in the escaping, that I realized something had to change, right? And so for me, replacing those habits, oh man, I knew that it wasn't gonna be overnight. And we say that, you said it, I'm sure, 1,000 times to people on different podcasts, in person, one-on-one conversations, that is not gonna be an overnight success.
Yeah, I actually said it today. On a Zoom call.
There you go.
I kind of prefaced the training that I did before I even started. And I said something very similar, like, you know, how long did it take a baby to be born? How long did it take you to cook your meal tonight?
Yep.
How long are you prepping Thanksgiving?
Yep.
You know, how long does it take your car to get fixed? How long does it take you to get from one city to the other in a plane?
Yep.
Nothing is like that for the most part.
But we gotta fill in the gaps. I think the reason why I'm saying this is because I've heard that time and time again. And the challenge is, I don't wanna take action by just hearing that. But if you say to me, the person you become tomorrow in replacing that bad habit with a good habit is a better version of you. And we got to keep saying that to people so they can understand it's worth the preparation. It's worth the sacrifice. It's worth missing the fun day at the beach, because the person you become tomorrow, your vocabulary is going to change because of the things you're listening to, right? Your endorphins towards that thing that you want to create are going to be heightened. Your energy and tenacity is going to be like, it's going to be brought from like a 2 to an 11.
Yeah.
And so now I go, hell yeah, I want to go after it tomorrow, right? Because we can't just say it's not overnight. We got to start saying what's the in-between, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so I started filling those in-between conversations with, it's worth it, right? So I would be in the middle of the street at 3:30 in the morning running to the gym, and I'm like, yo, I know everybody in my life is asleep right now, right? So I'm a beast. Still can't pay my rent, right? Still can't eat that night, but how I felt about myself changed.
Yeah.
From one day to the next.
Facts. So the things that you actually identified there is the pleasure. You programmed yourself to believe that those were pleasurable, and they probably are, right? And the compound interest of the consistency of the decision and of the actual act of you doing the things that would serve you to become a better person every day.
Yep.
That in itself, if you know, people can just receive that within itself, because how do you get up at 3:30? Yo, it's the holiday, bro. Just why aren't you chilling?
Yep.
Like, it's those moments also where you have to stand solid on your now new core beliefs.
Yes.
That, yeah, everyone's doing these things, but this is not what I do, because I'm not like them. I am a beast. I'm different, right? And this behavior is allowing me to become the person that I see myself becoming, that I know that I'm going to become. And the vision, when you were talking about vision, like, yeah, I can see someone done it, you know, someone has done it before or is doing it, so I can. But I think something else is powerful that we talked about offline a little bit is the visualization of that. Because your imagination will allow you to create the vision or the experience that you can, right, manifest or live out. But we're distracted from that, and we're disconnected from using the tool that we have to cast that vision and manifest what we have.
Wow.
Because again, we haven't been taught to use that. all of the tools that we find are just reminders of what we already have that we can just turn on. And I think for me, losing, that's like, at some point, like I remember being at like my grandma's funeral, my mom's funeral. I didn't go to my dad's funeral because of resentment and embitterment.
I'm sorry, man.
And I was like, he ain't never been here for me in real life. Why am I going to see him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My uncle passing, aunt, one of my brothers, one of my best friends. So at some point it was just numbness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I was able to use that and not look at it like, oh, it's sadness. And at a very early age, I saw that death was like a celebration, but then also because there were people that were in my life, it wasn't happening to me. These were moments that I could grow from, additional learning moments.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, yeah, you have all this loss, but I didn't, after like the first 2 funerals of crying naturally, I could go and not cry and mourn. I don't think you need to necessarily cry to experience sadness or to mourn or whatever. I think people process things differently, but I felt like I almost mastered the grieving period. So I could grieve and then I could be present and then I didn't have to necessarily grieve how I did previously, but then I can appreciate and celebrate. Which is how I feel like if, whenever it's my time, people in my life, like my will's gonna be like, yo, you gotta celebrate. You gotta turn up on me.
Yeah.
Like I need to find a tree, get some land, find a tree, plant me, pour my ashes in there, let it be a fruit tree. Every time, you wanna eat some fruit, get it popping or read your book underneath.
Yeah.
Like that's how I want it. It's a celebration.
Yeah, I can't really tap on that too much, but I will say that I think everybody's process is different.
Yeah.
I think that, like you said, it's okay to grieve, it's okay to cry, it's okay to be angry.
Yeah.
It's okay to be happy, it's okay to smile again, and it's okay to grieve the next day. And I think that's the challenge in our community a lot of times. Like, we're taught that you have to just let it go or
and then
it's no
it.
big deal. And then that's it.
Yep.
Right? Like I still think about my mom every day. Right? And I recently lost my aunt and I think about her.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry
in
to hear
different
that.
moments. But you understand that it's okay to have those moments of feeling anger and frustration and sadness and then joy when you think about them. And so I think that I want to say that so that there are people out there, because your process, it shows a little bit about how you're able to handle it. But the next person process shows something different, right?
Yeah.
And in our community, especially as an entrepreneur, a lot of times we think that we got to just like shake it off. Like, it's okay. Like you're a beast, like I just said, but beasts cry.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? A lot of times we don't hear those conversations.
You don't hear those stories.
We don't hear about it, right? Like beasts cry. And I think the vulnerable side of that, one great tip that I can say that I want to share with you is one day I was hosting a workout for my community and I didn't even have a way to get to the workout that I created. So I invited people to come work out with me and then I would have to ask somebody that I invited to pick me up to take me to it. But I knew that it was on my heart to be the person that if someone falls, I catch him, right? I wanted to be that person I didn't have. So if it don't exist, create it.
Yeah.
That's how my brain started to work, right? And during that workout, I said, off the just top of my heart, I said, there was a time in my life where I didn't want to be here. I wanted to, leave this planet. I didn't feel like I was worthy. I didn't feel like I needed to be here. It didn't matter. And I said it out of a place of aspiration and inspiration and trying to inspire people. And then I let it go. And a young lady, came up to me at the end of the workout and she said, Style, I woke up this morning and I said, today is my last day. I don't want to be here anymore. And then she said, I saw your post about the workout. She said, I'll go to one last workout and that's it. And she said, the fact that I'm looking at you and I see how your life has evolved, if you were just as low as I was and look what you created, I'm going to continue to go. And that was the positive side of the conversation. But the entrepreneur side, I need the people to hear this. I posted that video and I got a lot of people that were close to me that were upset for me saying that, because they took me saying I didn't want to be here at one point as they weren't good people, or it's their fault, not knowing that that was my own battle.
Yeah.
And I think
That's heavy.
I think a lot of people are afraid to share their truth because they're scared about what other people are going to think. And I just decided that day that me being my vulnerable self, my gentle self, my soft self was going to be my superpower, versus in my community growing up, it was about how many muscles you had or how strong you were or how you can just get up at 3:30 in the morning. That's all beast mode stuff. But
That's pretty beast mode.
that is pretty beast mode, and
Yeah.
it still is.
Yep.
But my superpower is my vulnerability too. And I think a lot of times, those are the kind of people that you can resonate with, you can feel like you can trust, you can want to work with, because they're human. You know what I mean? And I think you need to have both though.
Yeah.
I don't think you just got to be so like poor, miserable me all the time, because nobody wants that person either. But they
Facts.
need to know that you have tough days.
Yeah. Nah, facts, man.
And podcasters, how would you like to make 5 or 6 figures with your podcast? Did you know that most podcasters do not make any revenue? It's because they think they need brand deals, sponsorships, and a large audience to monetize your show. But what if I told you you don't need none of that? There's a simple 4-step framework to position your show to be monetized. And I can give it again completely for free. All you need to do is head over to podcast2profits.live, and I'll see you in this exclusive training. I'm gonna give you all the game. What are you waiting for? Head over to the training, let's go.
So, bro, we touched on a lot.
Yeah, we did.
It's been pretty great. I can't even hold you, bro. But what about Herbalife, man? I mean, we might as well talk about Herbalife a little bit, right? Let's talk about Herbalife.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? People want to know what you do. Like,
Yeah.
if you look at your social, my man taking trips.
Yeah.
Any nice trips too.
Yeah,
Taking
nice.
trips. You're creating amazing content.
Yeah.
Inspiring, motivating.
Yeah.
Sharing. Coach.
Yeah.
Helping people, like I said earlier, change their life, inspiring people.
Yeah.
You host workouts on Wednesdays at your place, right? What are you doing, bro?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing?
It's a beautiful question that you have. I think that going back to the vehicle we talked about earlier, so Herbalife is a vehicle for me to be able to impact people's lives directly and indirectly. And I want to say that to people because a lot of times you go searching for life on what you want to create and what you want to be and who you are. And what I love about this particular community is it doesn't matter your skin color, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter your education. As long as you're willing to work on yourself and impact other people's lives, then you matter to them, right? And that was something that was very important to me, that fundamental foundation of you matter. Remember, we talked about that a lot, was a core value of mine, right? And so there are a lot of things about Herbalife that some people may disagree with, or maybe even I disagree with, but the core value of what they stand for is something that I can stand on.
Yeah.
Right. And I never wanted to be in a career where I didn't trust their core values or what they stand for. And that allowed me to wake up the next day and say, this is what I'm going to do. Right. Because trying to do the commercial thing and acting thing and modeling thing, there was so many core values inside of that weren't in alignment with who I was. Right. And because of that, you see a lot of people that look like zombies. They're just walking around, going to work, coming home, going to sleep, working up the next day. Well, I got to wake up with nothing, no money, no car, no team, no business, and be fired up because of what I stood for.
Yeah.
So let's start there, right? I think whatever career that people decide, regardless of it's the same as mine, because you can tell by what I'm saying that I believe in it.
Yeah, facts.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that people need to start with that foundation of, is this something I can truly stand on? Because you're going to get tested. Right. I got tested from the closest people in my family. Right. All the way to strangers on the internet. Right. That have no idea what I actually do. And so that's number one. And then I think wellness is something that everybody needs. Right. I lost my mom to drugs and alcohol. And I wish that somebody would have invited my mom to a community that I now host.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a woman, the day one I went to the first meeting, I went there with a tough guy I ain't joining this. I don't want nothing to do with it. I have my arms crossed, bro. I'm like, I don't care what they say. I ain't doing it. And this woman started talking about how her health was better, how she lost some weight, how she stopped doing some of the things that my mom was doing. And I literally still had my arms crossed. And I said, in my head, the 9-year-old me said, this could have saved my mom's life. And so I joined Herbalife because I wanted to be the kid that saved somebody else's mom's life. I didn't know that it would create almost 50 countries. I didn't know it would create, I speak in front of 30,000 people. I didn't know that now I have people on my team that are part of the top 1% in the company, right? I didn't know that I would be the youngest African-American president's team member in the company. I didn't know that, I would be able to do all the things I've been able to do for the homeless, become humanitarian of North America. None of those things I thought about when I started. I thought, what if I can save somebody else's mom's life? And I wanted to say that because a lot of entrepreneurs think about only the financial gain.
Yeah, facts.
Right? And so when you don't receive that in a month or 2 months or a year, it's very frustrating and you want to give up. And so I've been able to, and my team also has been able to change so many mothers' lives. Bro, it's, I wouldn't say that it's greater than anything else because I'm not here to say what's good and bad, but I will say that that was my reasoning for saying yes. And then, they backed all that with the science and the research, right? The hundreds of doctors and the company being in 90 plus countries, right? Gave me access. I personally now have business in, 30 something countries, right? And I was able to do that from my kitchen table.
Yeah.
You understand? That my aunt bought me. And so my aunt got me my kitchen table. My aunt helped me get my first little laptop to place some orders. And although she passed away, one of the greatest gifts that I was able to give her, because I thought about her, bro, when I had nothing, right? I thought about her when I would talk to somebody about changing their wellness and they wouldn't call me back, right? I thought about her when I cried myself to sleep because I had no food to eat. And so I was able to fly my aunt around the world with me,
That's
right?
fire,
She
yeah.
would go, every time I went on vacation, she literally got to the point where she'd be like, where are we going this year, right? And so that was one of the greatest gifts that it gave me. I was able to give her flowers while she was here.
Yeah.
And so
salute to you on that.
I
man.
appreciate it,
Nah,
man.
facts,
So
bro.
right?
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
I couldn't do that for she was like my second mom.
Yep.
And so for me, the reason why I choose to be a part of Herbalife is because of what it stands for, right? It's bigger than just someone having a shake or someone drinking tea, right? It's more about who are these people and they matter to us, right? And so for that, I'm grateful, man. And I think that it's something that I'll do for the rest of my life. And it's given me the opportunity to be, so much philanthropy around the world, right? Typically, if I go to another country, I'm able to go into the community and help those people. You know what I mean? And if I go speak in South Africa, right, we can then go to the homes where these kids have no mom and no dad, and they're younger than I was when I lost my mom. But where was I going to be able to do that?
Yeah, facts.
You know what I mean? I grew up in Oakland and foster care and physically beat. Like, this company has given me the opportunity to change people's lives around the world. And I think that monetary stuff that a lot of us are going after doesn't compare to that kid smiling.
Impact, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't compare.
Impact.
Yeah.
So wellness, you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
What is wellness to you? Right? Like what layers is wellness at? Because it's also a buzzword right now.
Yeah.
Like it's like
It is.
people want to go to the trendy gyms.
Yep.
They want to do certain workouts.
Yep.
They want to be with the influencer.
Yep.
But what is complete wellness to you? What are some areas people need to pay attention to?
Well, I will say this. I don't think that I've been in situations because of my career and what I stand for and who I am. I've been in situations where I'm around other people that are in wellness and they try to compete with what I'm doing. And what I've always said to them is this. I say, listen, I'm glad that your company gave you X, Y, and Z. But I'm also grateful that you're a part of this world because there's a lot of people harming society, right? So for the influencers that are promoting wellness or do my plan or do my fitness or do my this or, drink this or drink that, I still take my hats off to those guys. I'm gonna say why, because I believe that there's an abundance to life and not a lack.
100%.
And so I'm so glad that they're promoting to go work out, right? Even if I might not like their style, right? I'm glad that they're promoting their version of what they believe in, because there's so much, and we see it every day. You should be scared to go outside.
Yeah.
You should be scared to drink water. You should be scared to eat a banana. You should be scared to do this. There's not enough people that are standing up saying that it's okay to be happy.
Yeah.
It's okay to believe in yourself. It's okay to cry. And I think that I'm so happy that our society and where we're going out is telling people it's okay to get help. But I will say this, and this is going to be very controversial, and I probably shouldn't say it. It's probably going to hurt me a little bit for saying this. I think that there are so many people saying that they're getting help, right? And everyone's standing saying, wow, that's so great that you're getting help. I'm so glad you're getting help. The problem is, at some point, people have to ask themselves, why are they also always going to go get help? Where can we start to prevent some people from needing as much help, right? A lot of times we're trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem. And so I just can't wait for us to start having the conversations on where do we start creating less problems, so we need to go get less X, Y, and Z. And I think that that's the part where we start to evolve as a community even greater, right? I hope that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be offensive to the people that are seeking help, like myself, right? Because I'm still getting help. But I wish that there were more people talking about preventing some of those generational curses.
So are we talking about like
Wellness.
mindfulness,
Yes.
physical fitness,
Yes.
dietary,
All of it.
self-confidence,
Everything that you just mentioned.
conversations,
Yes.
being able to be comfortable with who you are,
Yep.
not having to put on a facade,
Yep.
being able to be authentically yourself in all places.
Yep. So I think when it comes to wellness, first and foremost, it's a beautiful thing to see so many people talking about how much it adds value to their life, right? And I think that once we really tap into the overarching conversation of wellness, I think that we really are talking about healing people, right? Because I have a lot of friends that are successful. I have a lot of friends that are crushing it in their field, right? And then they'll come to me and they be like, bro, can I just come over your house? I'm like, for what? They're like, I just want to feel peace, right? So wellness is not just about the things that you're drinking. Wellness is not just about the things that you're eating, right? But wellness is also about who you're being sometimes, right? And I think I love creating a place of peace. I love creating a place of like, it's quiet, right? But not quiet in a negative way. Because how many times have we tried to distract ourselves from quiet, right? And I think that wellness creates an opportunity for people to really see who they are, right? And what they stand for. And so I'm starting to notice that a lot of people, and probably fathers too, but a lot of people are starting to raise their children in a way of love, right? Love before discipline, love before abuse, love before frustration. And I think that that's going to create a conversation in the future to where we really are healed before we put the Band-Aid on it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think it may not be our generation, right? But it may be the future generation of children, because I think there's two kinds of people. Some people are afraid to bring people into the world right now, and some people are excited.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm kind of in the middle.
Kind of in the middle, and
Yeah.
that's okay, right?
Yep,
and
I'm in the middle.
I get why.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I'm excited, right? Because of all the reasons why we talked about offline, right? We can focus on, right, all the things that are holding us back, or we can create from the idea of what we actually have access to. And so that's why I'm excited about it, right? I think that the world wants us to be afraid, because then we can be controlled.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're afraid, it's easier to control because it's strong. I seen a reel from a Tupac clip, and he was saying love or fear are the biggest, influences. But you would rather be feared than loved, because if you're loved, you can also be, like taken advantage of.
Yep. Facts.
right?
Yeah.
You can be very vulnerable. You can be person closest to you could strike.
Yeah.
But fear is stronger because it can dictate, it can control, it can manipulate, it can it's like you can almost, what's the word I'm looking for? You know the behavior that's gonna come.
Yeah.
I can predict with what's gonna happen by me being hard, putting the hammer down,
Yeah.
like execute on this level.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm saying?
I have a question for you in that aspect. And I know the answer to the question for myself, but I think maybe some people need to hear this. Would you rather have $1 billion and be by yourself, or let's just say $1 million and you have around a bunch of people that love you?
Man, that's a great question. And that's it. There's no variables. It's one or the other.
One or
right?
the other.
I think I might take the billion, bro.
And that's okay.
You know why I would take the billion? I would take the billion because the billion comes with peace.
To you.
To me, it comes with peace because the billion is predictable, right? Because if I'm around a lot of people that love me, because I
you
ask you
love
about
them.
variables, I don't know motives, and that's where my mind goes. I don't
Yeah.
know motive. Everyone has different
Yeah.
motives. So without the variables, this is what I think.
Yeah.
The billion allows me to, you could do what you want, and I could be around people, but it's peace because I know I can go back, no one's there or whatever. That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
And I really love, I'm like an omnivert, bro. So like, I love being home, but I love this.
Yeah.
I love traveling. I love being in a room full of people. I love training virtually. I love training in person.
Yep.
I love being able to be my full, like expressive self
Yeah.
in all areas I can be, but I also love just being by myself, hitting a
Yeah.
workout by
Yeah.
myself with fully locked in or just going on a walk, you know? So yeah, that's a great question, by the way. Yeah.
So I, first of all, I think that it's okay for you to choose whatever you want. One, but I would choose $1 million with people that I love. The reason why I say that is because the people that love you know that you need your space today,
Yeah.
and they're okay with it, right? And so I think that the loneliness for me creates an environment of scarcity and fear.
Yeah. But see how interesting that is?
That's what I'm saying.
See how
So
interesting that is?
it's all perspective when you see it.
So you thought of that, and I thought of safety.
Right.
I thought of like peace.
Yep.
But then conversely, you thought of peace
Yep.
and the ability to be comforting
Yep.
amongst the people that love you.
Yep.
And then I thought about motive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I do have some good ones, but like, can I really let my guard down?
Yep.
But that's also because of programming
Yep.
and what we've felt like we've been exposed to,
Yep.
indirectly and directly. So that's super
But I've
interesting.
led my career, my wellness career, in the aspect of I'd rather have $1 million around the people that I love. And I've used that as such a dictator in my community because a lot of people are starting to notice what I'm doing on Wednesday,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of it has to do with the aesthetics of Wednesday, right? Like I'm doing Wednesday now in my backyard with a view of the Hollywood Sound, downtown, all of Los Angeles, right? When I've been doing free workouts for 11 years, when I had no way to get there, in the rain, riding my bicycle to get there. And never once did the news come. Never once was I in this magazine for that particular thing that I was doing. Not once, right? And I've probably transformed, if I had to guess, hundreds of thousands of lives in the process of that. Because some days I had 2 people and some days I had 300 people at that workout.
Yeah.
And I did that because I know that those people needed somebody to be there for them when nobody else did,
Facts.
right?
Yeah.
And so not until I created such a phenomenal experience in my life did people start to notice, right? And
Makes
I think
sense.
that people need to hear that inside of entrepreneurship, because I still do that workout that I was doing on Monday, right? I still do it. Now I do it on Zoom because of the situation the world is in today. And now have people in Africa and France and Brazil and Argentina and Turkey on the workout because they have access to somebody that actually cares about them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something that I think is the difference maker inside of success, right? It gives you the access to be able to change people's lives even when nobody's there. So I love the idea of caring about people, believing in them, even if I create less success for myself.
Yeah, no, facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my way though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the only way to do it though.
I resonate with that.
Yeah.
I definitely resonate with that. A couple of things that I heard you saying there, and it's also something I want to highlight, is like the idea of the community. And the idea of the community is like you creating it for not having it,
Yep.
and then creating a platform for others to join so you can help them transform.
Yep.
So what does community mean for you? And like why the idea of creating that community for others to tap into? Because conversely, you mentioned that 9-year-old self being at the Herbalife meeting first time,
Yep.
you made a connection. If
Yeah.
my mom had a community, maybe it would have been different.
Yeah.
Or maybe she would have felt safe, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
So why are communities so important now?
I think you said it, right? I think that losing my mom at such a young age was probably one of the most challenging things I ever had to experience, because I was there the day that my mom got sick. I was there going to the hospital as I was praying that my mom would get better, right? I remember going to the liquor store that my mom would get alcohol from, and I'm 9. I'm telling the guy, "You ever sell my mom alcohol again, I'm gonna beat you up." And he's looking at me like, "Get out of here, kid." But I remember trying to even create a space for my mom when she came back. It's just unfortunately I never had that opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. And so I didn't know how much of an impact that they would make on my life, and then wanting to create that for other people. And I do want to say that I have also, as an entrepreneur, self-sabotaged my community, right? And the reason why I like to be so transparent about my failures and my successes is because sometimes people are creating communities and they're creating careers and they're creating, brands and ideas, and then they're messing them up because of a self-sabotage, because they're proving themselves to not be worthy, right? And so I've done that. I've created situations inside of my own success to prove to myself I'm not really worthy, right? I'm just been fortunate enough to not do it to the point where I lose everything, right? And really what you lose is yourself. And so I think the community part and the positive is social proof that there's a lot of good people on this planet, right? And we don't highlight those people enough, bro.
It's always the other side.
There's always the other side, right? I saw a gentleman today, a video about him buying a young Black kid a piano from the money he inherited from his father. And this young Black kid had autism, and this gentleman that bought him that was white. And I said to myself, he just saw the video of this little kid playing a computer, and they asked the man, piano.
Yeah.
They asked the man, "Why did you buy this kid? What pulled you?" And this man said, with tears in his eyes, that kid was like the face of God to him. And that was another reminder to me that there are a lot of good people on this planet. We just tend to focus on the fear, right? And so I think
it's a design, though.
It's by design.
Yeah,
I think the community creates proof that there are a lot of people out there that are amazing. And I want those people to strongly believe that whatever their goals are and their dreams are can be created as their reality.
Yeah, and being in a community, having that support, and being able to really tap in and connect with a lot of people that are in alignment, or that have the desire to grow and improve. It's like very encapsulated. And you can trust it.
And I can only find those people on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't think that, by no means am I creating this new way of life, right? I want to be very clear about that. But I couldn't go hang out with Eric Thomas for free.
Yeah, facts.
Right? I can't go hang out with Tony Robbins for free. I love those guys, right? And I wanted to create a place where people had access to somebody that did it. Right? And a lot of those people in the community saw me on the bicycle or gave me a ride home or picked me up on the way to the workout. And now they're seeing how I'm living and they're still like, damn, you're still giving it to us. You're still showing up for us. And so I wanted those people to have access and not just on a computer.
Yeah.
Or in a book.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
So, it's a new year, new opportunities,
Yeah.
right? New journey around the sun. What's in store for you? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish or experience?
Yeah.
What's the new phase looking like for you?
Yeah. Beautiful question. I think that I just got back in town for being on vacation for a month, right? And everybody was asking me, how does it feel to be home? Are you sad? And my answer was no. Like, my life is already a vacation, one. And I mean that in a way of, I still have days where I cry myself to sleep.
You still cry yourself to sleep?
Oh man, I still have days where I feel afraid. I still have days where I self-sabotage myself. But in the grand scheme of how I see my life, is beautiful. That's one. For me going into 2023 and even now to this day, I'm gonna lean more into my gentle side, right? That's something that I'm excited to really tap into.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
We would want to be excited to tap into becoming more gentle.
Right. I think that, but that's the process.
You couldn't even predict that.
Can't even predict it. Not once, right? I trained in the gym really aggressively today.
Yeah, fact.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm growing my muscles, I'm getting stronger, right? I'm doing those things. I'm training like an animal, but I'm very aware that my soul and who I am, right, is gentle.
Yeah.
And so it's not that you got to have one or the other.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times because of what somebody looks like, they need to be a certain kind of way. Another thing I'm excited about is people, man. I'm excited to really dig deep in the root of people matter. And so that's something that I'm excited about. I'm starting another community thing actually coming next month, right? For a church here. So I'm going to be tapping in with them once a week, showing up for those people there. I'm excited about that. There's nobody there now.
Yeah.
But probably in the next couple months, there's going to be hundreds.
Yeah, facts.
And people are going to be like, how did you do it? And I'm like, I just cared, right? And I gave up time for that. I'm excited to also really, and I mean this like in a very like holistic way, understand who I am. Because when you're not going after success from fear and sadness, like we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, facts.
Right? You got to tap into, wake up from a place of joy and still go get it. Right?
Yeah.
And I just read a book recently about, I think he's a gospel singer and some other stuff, Lecrae. And I was reading his book, and what I loved about his book so much is he talked about having all the success and not being who he wanted to be in his spirit. He was drinking, and I don't want to like try to butcher his book the wrong way.
Yeah.
What I love so much about his book is he created so much success, but he felt empty and sadness, and he was losing his marriage and all these other things, and he had to really revamp himself, right? And there's so many books on how to get from the bottom to where you want to be.
Yep.
But sustaining that and becoming something greater, where is that book at?
Where is that
Maybe
book?
you created it already, or maybe someone else has. But getting up from a place of joy is different from a place of hunger and sadness. And I'm excited to really keep tapping into that side of my life, right? Because I no longer have to worry about how I'm gonna pay my bills, right? Now it's, who am I, right? And so that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is because I didn't write that book, but I will tell you that it's a new version of success for me, and it looks different, right? And so many people, at least I have chose to, in the beginning, I used my competition or my people my haters, right? Let's talk about that as my fuel.
Yeah.
I gotta stay on it because people waiting for me to fail. Now, I know those people still exist, but I don't really think about them. Are you following what I'm saying? So now it's, what can I create tomorrow? Who am I? What do I believe in? right? How can I really impact my community? That's a different level of success, in my opinion, and I'm excited to really tap into that.
So we doing that right now, real time.
Yeah, real time.
What's up, y'all? So I want to take a second to speak to my creators. So whether you currently got a podcast or think about launching a podcast, maybe you got a YouTube channel and you think about launching a YouTube channel. Here are the facts. Did you know that 9 out of 10 creators actually quit because they don't have anyone to hold them accountable? That's why all you need to do, right? Click that link below, join my Action Takers community, because not only are we gonna hold you accountable, we're gonna teach you how to execute at a higher level. Plus, give you access to principles and strategies to grow your mindset and generate more revenue. So what are you waiting for? Click that link below and join one of the fastest growing content and accountability communities, all right? I'll see you on the inside.
So, interesting question for you. If you were creating Styles Academy,
Yep.
you know, and there's like 3 things that the people that are attending your academy, they have to learn before they could graduate. What are those principles?
Oh, I never thought about that, but if I had to go off the top of my head, number 1, I would say acceptance. I think that they would need to learn how to accept themselves for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because if not, we don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a fact.
That's just my opinion off the top of my head. I think once we learn whatever their acceptance is and how they're coming into life right now, do they believe that everything about life sucks? Or do they believe just their life sucks and everyone else's life is better? Or do they believe that they can create a place where everyone is good? Or do they just believe in themselves? So I think number 1, I would have to really tap into accepting who they are in that moment. Because I think that's where I was at when I really got serious about my career. Number 2 is be okay with the unknown.
Okay. Yeah. We talked about that a little bit as well.
And I think that would be because they may believe I'm supposed to be the greatest clothing designer that ever existed, but then they end up creating a business that is teaching young kids how to create wealth. And that's their actual lane.
Yeah.
But it took them making the clothes, meeting the person, going to a meeting, finding someone else to now create that new business. Versus, and a lot of times I have blocked some of my blessings because I thought I was supposed to go a certain way.
Facts. Or you held on to something too long. Because of identity.
Right? And then I think number 3 is I think that they would have to learn true impact, right? In a way that's very selfless, right? Not just attached to a financial gain.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine wanting to be around a bunch of people that are only about themselves.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep. Those would be my 3.
Those are hard.
Yeah.
That's like, those are good.
And you put me on the spot with that, so I didn't really get a chance to think about it.
Those are good, man. So you mentioned reading. You also mentioned not being able to read.
Yeah.
So through your journey to now, what would be maybe 3 books that you would recommend, you know, people that are listening and watching to tap into to really get themselves open, motivated, you know, maybe find a piece of information that could change their situation?
You keep putting me on the spot with the questions. Okay, first, when it comes to books, I think...
Or audios.
But let me say this. I think that tap into whatever you feel like you can grasp the most information.
Yeah.
Right? If I pick up a physical book and try to read it, I'm gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
An audio book, I'm in it. I'm listening to it. I can visualize the stories, right? So my brain starts to create everything behind that audible, and I'm able to grasp it. But I also agree that there are books that you're trying to study everything in the entire book and you lose the one page you were supposed to listen to.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's just a book. It also could be a YouTube video.
Yeah.
In today's time, it could be a podcast.
Yeah, facts.
It can also be a YouTube clip or a Instagram reel. And so if I'm being honest with you, my answer has changed over time because there's so many people like yourself out there creating really good content that may not ever be in a book or on Audible.
So what about sources and give us some sources?
Some of my sources, I will say that it took me, my very first book that I read, like cover to cover outside of school, was one of Eric Thomas's book.
Okay.
Right? And that really helped me understand that I can create more for myself. But
E.T.
I love Eric Thomas. At that time in my career, he was like a fuel for me, right? I love Jim Rohn's book, Leading an Inspired Life. I talked about that one earlier.
Yeah.
Now, the challenge is, if I'm being honest, and I probably shouldn't say this because I'm doing a lot of books in 1 month right now. And I'm not going to say a number because I don't want people to be reading books when they should be taking action sometimes.
Yeah, facts.
I know you know what I'm saying with that, right? Some people are so deep that they not taking no action. So I will say that read a book that helps you discover yourself in that time in your life. Because if you're reading a book like one of Tony Robbins' book about finances, right, and you don't have no money to finance, right, you need to be reading a book about getting up early in the morning to make your dreams become your reality.
Facts, yeah.
So I think that people should dive into information that's relevant to where they're at in the present. Whatever book I'm reading now may not help them, right? If they're reading Tribal Leadership and they don't have no team, it doesn't matter, right? And so it's hard for me to answer that question from a place, but besides tap into a book that actually is helping you in that part of your life.
Yeah, but you gave a couple of good sources. Jim Rohn is a great source, and Eric Thomas is a great source, so they can't really go wrong there.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And then,
You're trying to save me right there. I see you saving me.
Man. No, I'm being honest. Those are really good sources. That's why I switched it from actual titles to sources because you can go to an AI chat now. You can go on YouTube, Google, type in those sources, and you can get some inspo from that. What about waking up now from a place of joy? The reason why I'm asking you is having a daily routine, I think, is important. Having a morning routine, I think, is important. I think what fuels you to get up in the morning is important. Now that you have successfully switched that or navigating this new space of waking up joyful to execute and to live and to take this action. What are the joyous disciplines that occur for you now if they are different when you open your eyes and start your day?
Yeah, some of those things are exactly the same as 2012 and 13.
Do you enjoy them more?
Yes, absolutely. I used to fantasize about not having to be somewhere, right? And what that feels like to be able to decide how I want my day to look, right? And I thought that looked different than what it looks like now because now I have a choice. So some of my disciplines that I would say that are fundamental to me, and I probably got it from a book or I probably got it from an Audible, right? I don't know, but I decided that when I wake up in the morning, I will not check my phone, my text messages, my emails, no Instagram. It didn't exist when I first started, but no Instagram, no Facebook, whatever TikToks, whatever that people are addicted to, you can still, I'm not saying don't be addicted to it, but I am telling you, I don't do it. It's not a choice, right? Also, when I wake up in the morning, something that's very important to me is my wellness, right? And so I'm not the kind of person that's gonna lie to people. I'm not getting down on my knees and praying every single time or writing 10 things in my gratitude list, right? I don't do that. That's just my truth, right? But then I fuel myself with something that's gonna inspire my life to move forward, right? I do at least 15 to 30 minutes of personal growth, right? And so that has evolved over time. Initially, it was Eric Thomas, then it was Mark Hughes, then it was Jim Rohn, then it was Les Brown, then it was Tony Robbins, right? Like I'm waking up, I'm doing it on YouTube or an Audible, something, right? And then I'm fueling my body with good nutrition before I talk to anybody. And then I do something called 10 before 10, where I'm giving out into the world to 10 people that I think about. Something inspiring, something I believe in, and then I start my day.
I like the 10 before 10 joint. So like at 9:58, if you ain't so you like, bang, you just rushing.
Nah, I'm always done by at least 6 a.m.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. That's amazing, bro. We touched on a lot of things, man. We touched on a lot of things. You shared a lot of stuff about your personal life, your business, your journey, what's going on currently, things you want to achieve now. I mean, we can wrap it up right here. Clearly, this is a very rich episode. But one thing I want to definitely touch on is your relationship with women. I think even me, that's something that I want to discover more.
Yeah.
As we grow as entrepreneurs, as we grow as men, as we become older, you know, on our journey.
Yeah.
Because our desire and what we're attracted to
Evolves.
evolves, changes, pivots.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not even conscious of the changes. It's
Yeah.
like you tap into something that you would normally tap into, and you're like, this don't hit like it used to hit, and you got to reverse engineer that. I figured out why. So I want to touch on that, and before we go.
I think that with this interview, it would be nice to end without this question. But I will say, that number one thing that we have to do, especially as men, is not only heal, but apply the healing, right? And so the reason why I say that is because I've made a lot of mistakes with relationships, platonic and not so platonic relationships with people in general, but especially with women. I made a lot of mistakes. And I think a lot of those mistakes.
Oh, you too? Yeah.
I mean, I think, but the reason why I say that is because I chose a lot of situations where I could predict the outcome. Like I talked about earlier. I knew they were going to fail, or I knew I would put myself in a situation to create them to fail.
Yeah. And it kept you safe.
It kept me safe because I could predict the outcome.
That's what I mean,
losing my mom at such a young age where I needed that love, and then to go so many years, and I'm just now discovering like how to love myself really as an adult, right? And to not have, I didn't grow up with a pet, or I didn't grow up with a best friend, or I didn't have an opportunity to have people that I'd known since I was younger, right? And so even when I got out of foster care and my older brother would say, I love you, I didn't feel it. Or someone would say, I care about you, I didn't feel it. So I was so detached from relationships. And then the people that I would have those feelings for would either pass away or move out.
I felt that.
And so going into relationships, and it's unfortunate, and if I can apologize to all those women that I hurt, and I'm not using my past as an excuse. I take responsibility for my actions, but that caused a lot of pain, right? And so when people say the things like, it's not you, it's me, it's like, everybody's like, nah, that's some bullshit, right? Well, in my case, a lot of times it was me, right? And so I think one thing that I will say is I had to go to the source of why I was causing the pain over and over and over again, because the common denominator, it wasn't the women, it was me. Right? And I would sometimes choose women where I knew I could predict the outcome. The problem is sometimes really great people came. Really great women came, and they did not deserve that level of who I was, right? And so I think we have to take responsibility, one, for our actions. And then decide that the future actions have to change. Even if, see, the problem is I associated becoming a better version of myself as losing, right?
Wow.
And a lot of times as men, we don't want to say that, right? I had to, becoming a better version of myself said, if I'm in a situation where something is coming to me easy, if it's not in alignment, I got to leave it alone. That sounds like a loss, not a win, right? But leaving it alone, when you wake up the next day, who you become. Do you see what I'm saying? Where I'm getting from this? I didn't learn this until now. So I can't give any advice. If I'm being honest, I can't, because I haven't really figured it out.
No, but you're giving it, bro. You're giving it.
But I will say that, when it comes to that, I do think that one thing I was able to do in my career, though, is I never allowed a relationship or something to prevent me from doing what I needed to do. So if I need to wake up at 3, I'm gonna get up at 3 no matter what. I'm gonna go to the meetings no matter what. I'm gonna do the invitations no matter what. So there are some men that are still making that mistake. I'm not talking about that. That's kind of like elementary success, right? I wanna have success to where even if I'm in a situation where I see something that is gonna bring me pleasure, if it's gonna cause me pain in the future, it ain't worth it. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can't wait to get to that level of a person as a man, because I think that's when we truly tap into our power, right? And so I'm excited to see the kind of person I can become when I actually tap into that power.
That was crazy, bro.
It's just my truth.
Yo, I appreciate you, man.
You got any advice on that?
It's been amazing, bro. It's a wrap for the
It's
pod.
a wrap. Now it's a wrap.
Yo, what I could offer, based off of my experience,
Yeah.
I think you have to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think you got to be really honest with yourself. I think you need to be so honest where you have to find out what you really need, you know? And men, we want to take it down. We want to chase. We want to conquest. We want, feather in the hat. We want whatever it might be.
Yep.
But what do you really need?
Yep. Can I say this? When you're honest with yourself, the challenge too is in today's time, by me saying I need to, all those things I said, because I want to tap into more of my gentle side, someone's going to come on this and say, well, he's a little suspect now, right? Someone's going to watch this video and decide that because I want to tap into that side of myself, because I made mistakes into this, I must be doing something wrong, or something must be wrong with me, or maybe I really don't like women. That's what they're going to say. When that has prevented so much people from actually healing and figuring out who they are, because they're afraid of what the world is going to say about them.
What I feel when you say that, or when I heard you say that to me, it's just like, yo, this mother is getting stronger.
Because that's where you're at.
That's what I see,
You got to
bro.
remember that. That's where you're at.
Yeah.
No matter how many times have you done this where all your friends are like, I love that brand, I love that idea, I love this, but you read the one comment that talks about it being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It don't matter if the 1,000 people tell you it's great. We're going to focus on the 10 people that hate our brand or hate our product.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of us, especially as men, we're afraid to say, no, I messed up. We got to figure out a way to blame the women. Nah, I messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is damn. I mean, you just basically elaborate on what I was saying. Like, what is it that you need? You know what I'm saying? And I think when you discover that, as you're discovering more about yourself, it makes it easier for you to find someone that may compliment or add, and not self-sabotage, and not pick somebody safe that you can predict the outcome.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So for me, she has to be someone that inspires, challenges, adds, allows me to be me, and allows me to give.
Yep.
And she's someone that can receive, and not be hurt, and not heal, where it now prevents me from doing what I authentically want to do with her, because she might be pushing it away, not in a place to accept that.
Yep.
And I don't know what that physically looks like.
Yeah.
But that's what I want. That's what I feel like I need.
Yeah.
I don't need. I mean, obviously, I'm a man, right? So there's certain features or certain looks or certain, whatever. But that's not number one for me. Number one is really the mindset, the wellness, where you at in your life, what impact do you want to make, what are you desiring, how are you loving yourself, what vision do you want to create, do you have space for me?
Yeah.
Right? Do you have space for yourself? Are you creating space?
Yep.
You know
what they're going to say, right?
What?
You got to be all that shit first.
100%.
You got to be it.
And I believe that.
You got to be it, bro.
And I believe that. I'm not, I mean, for me, that's a given.
Yeah.
So when you say that, I'm like, yeah. But I understand.
Sometimes we think that we are those things, though, and we're not.
Facts.
And I think I have definitely been at a place where, and a woman told me this other, she was like, you check so many boxes. And so it's difficult for a woman to be able to see so much greatness inside of you and you not be available, right? Wholeheartedly, right? Maybe physically you available, but not like your emotions and your mind isn't, right? And so I can resonate with that. And so I think even if we are all those things that we are on the exterior, like motivated, driven, compassionate, understanding, being able to have good conversations, but if your heart ain't really open to the fact to it, then you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the big, I think in my opinion, that's the biggest part of it. And so I was not open in my heart to it. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, not until, I've been a part of the top 1% of my industry for 10 years. plus. Not until 5 years ago did I start to figure out who I really was, though. That's the thing. So it's like, now I gotta undo, I'm 38. I gotta figure out who I am in 5 years. That's kind of like a light year. You know what I mean? So I think, I agree though, bro. I think that the kind of woman that we desire comes from when we really tap into who we are and knowing yourself. And then I think at that point,
Yeah, you can't seek it first.
you can't seek it.
Can't seek it first, or it's gonna continue to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you said like, okay, that's not my number one. I'm gonna challenge you a little. I know this is your podcast.
You talking about the
physical,
exterior?
yeah,
the
yeah.
physical?
I'm gonna challenge you a little bit, only because sometimes the answer is to that question is you're right, and it sounds good. But I think that you'll see the beauty, even if it's not external.
Yeah.
You'll see the wellness inside of her, because we're talking about that.
Yeah.
And then you'll start to really listen to everything that's happening to your spirit. It happens so quickly, though.
Yeah.
We believe it's not number one, right? Because you can tell right away just about the way how she communicates. Because sometimes like that's sexy to us. We be like, damn, how she handling herself? Like, yes, now you want to talk to her.
Yeah, facts.
You understand what I'm saying? It happens so quickly, you think that the conversation was the number one. Nah, I think it's those small, subtle things first.
It's the nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, bro.
You tapped into that earlier.
Listen, man, she gotta look good too, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring it out of you. 'Cause I know
Listen, she gotta look good. She gotta look good.
But yo, looking good, I think, this probably happened to you too. The way she carry herself is something about it that is bigger than just what her exterior. I know what you meant. It's just sometimes as men we don't really know how to say. What does that really mean?
That self-confidence is a mother, bro. That self-confidence is like in the presence, in the energy, in the whole way she goes about communicating, commanding, and being able to move in different environments.
Yeah.
It's still been feminine and strong and sexy and compassionate and soft.
Yeah.
And catering and but then also be able to lead.
Yeah.
All those things are important, man.
I know. I think I'm gonna go back to it because the challenge is I can't really speak on it because I haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But I will say that I do think that we got to start with really knowing who we are. I think we can tap back into that, and then we can really address that conversation once we really know who we are. We sitting here a year from now and we get to know it's like, this is what I want now.
Yep.
We might look back at this interview and be like, I don't even want none of that shit no more, you know?
that's fact.
Because I didn't. I don't really know who I am yet. And so that's the difference.
Yeah, bro. Grateful, man. I'm just feeling a hell of gratitude.
That was fire.
I'm really thankful to have this opportunity. I know we tried to do this a few times before, but I believe things happen when they're supposed to. And I think there's no other time than now to have this conversation and be able to, provide this and share this with other people.
Yeah.
So I just want to say I'm grateful and thankful for you to come on, share a little bit about what you got going on. Learn a little bit more about who you are for those that are not really familiar. Now you're more familiar, right?
Yeah.
So let them know where they can connect with you.
Yeah. Well, what up, you guys? Once again, it was a great interview. My name is Style. That's my birth name. And you guys can find me on social media. My Instagram is @SirStyle. But most importantly, thing that I want to leave everybody with is, regardless of what you believe for yourself or what somebody has said about you, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to cry. It's okay to want to give up. But it's not okay to stay stuck. And so tomorrow, take an action that's going to allow you to see your dreams become your reality. And I love you guys from the bottom of my heart.
This has been another episode of the On the Pursuit podcast with my brother Style. It's been crazy, bro. I hope you guys have been able to take everything you need from this episode. Definitely share this one out with as many people as possible. I feel like this one's going to be a lot. One is going to bring a lot of impact, I would say, a lot of impact. So share it out. Leave comments below. What was your favorite, part of the interview? You know what I'm saying? So I can share them comments with my boy right here. And look forward to you guys tapping into another episode. Peace.
Let's get it.